Hello, Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Hope you're all safe, sound, and healthy. And 8th of February has passed. What happened? As you know, the 8th of February was supposed to be marked as a Black Day in Pakistan because last year, exactly on this date of this month, the elections were held, if you remember, in which the largest amount of votes were cast in history. And that is why, despite the efforts by the government and the army, they could not actually rig the elections the way they normally would. Because if you remember, normally in Pakistan, the reason why over the years, throughout these decades, they could manipulate the results and they could rig the elections was because of the low voting percentage. But the last time when Imran Khan won the elections, they couldn't rig the elections properly. So even though they did actually rig those elections too, but because the number of votes was more than they ever thought it would be, so they couldn't completely remove him from the government. And this time, even though he was in jail, arrested, everything, as you know, Pakistan once again came out and voted. And for the first time in history, the numbers was so large. It was so large that literally they failed very badly to rig the elections. So, what did they do? As the whole world could see, and as the whole world has seen, they just very, very blatantly, very shamelessly, like thugs, they came and they said, "Oh, we don't regard the votes of the people. We don't accept the votes of the people. We choose to become your government. We choose to rule you. Who are you to vote?" And they literally came and they shat. Okay, they shat on the elections. So yesterday, sorry, technically, yesterday was the day that the people of Pakistan were coming out at the call of Imran Khan to mark this day, right? To protest. And what did the government do? The government very neatly decided that, oh, okay, so this is the day that we can do something now. Here's a thought. Let's just have a cricket match on February the 8th. Seriously? You actually thought that having a cricket match in Gaddafi Stadium in Lahore on February the 8th and to have some international, uh, you know, conference or speakers or whatever come in, or and to suddenly decide, oh, we'll also have a horse and cattle show. Let's just have all these three events, and we'll distract the people, and we'll spoil all the attempts. We'll just foil the attempts of the people to come out in the streets and all. And also, and then when they did that, then citing this as an excuse, they decided that, okay, let's make this as an excuse to uh, to refuse to give permission to the PTI members to stage a rally. Well, as always, you people are beyond stupid, because all that happened was that the Lahore, the PTI members of Lahore, everybody just, they were asked to just stage the protest in their own constituencies, okay? And fine, the police went around arresting many people all over Punjab, because throughout Punjab, there was this, not just in Punjab, throughout Pakistan, there was these rallies and protests. But the main thing is, as usual in Punjab, is where, there's this overwhelming, um, display of violence or terrorism by the government and by the army. So over here is where it's always tricky. Otherwise, I think the biggest protest took place in Swabi, and apart from that, in Punjab, in fact, in all the cities, there were protests, and in Lahore, as I said, they were obliged to, because they were not granted permission to stage the rally or the protest in Minar Pakistan, which is obviously where everybody goes to, when it's to do with PTI protests. So they were like, no, we're not granting you permission to go there. So Alia Hamza, who was basically the one in charge of Lahore, she's like, okay, you know what, change of plans. Everybody just stage your protests and do your rallies within your constituencies. And that's what everybody did. Now, according to the business recorder, the daughter of sorry, as usual, my brain stops working when I'm actually doing the podcast. So, Shah Mahmood Qureshi, the former foreign minister, and also the PTI leader who is currently in jail, his daughter Meherbano was one of the leaders of the demonstrations. She was arrested, and another lady is and sorry, and about, it's according to the government, with their exaggerated claims, they've said that they've arrested about 100 people. I don't know how many people they've actually arrested, but there we are. Apart from that, as I said, they thought that, oh, let's distract the people, because the people of Pakistan, they are diehard fans of cricket. So, and this is an international, after such a long time, once again, Pakistan is going to host this international cricket matches. So, people are definitely going to, put their best foot forward. Yeah, that's where you got it wrong. What the people did was display their, I mean, again, as I keep on saying, you're messing with the wrong generation. What our people did was they're like, okay, cricket match, eh? Okay, we're all coming, dude. Don't you worry. And all the people decided to sit at the Imran Khan enclave, which, by the way, they tried to remove his name from there, and that caused a nationwide protest on the social media. And because of that, they were like, okay, just put it back, put the name back. I mean, seriously, in fact, I was amazed that how did they manage to keep Imran Khan's enclave intact? How come they didn't try to change the name? And then I found out they did try to remove, and it backfired so badly that they had to put it back. So it remains where it was, and all the people that came, they sat right there, and the rest of the stadium was empty. And not only that, as soon as they found out that useless excuse of a man, Mohsen Naqvi, as soon as he came, because he's, the selected chairman of the PCB board, the Pakistan Cricket Board, because as soon as they found out that he had entered the stadium, the public started chanting slogans of Imran Khan, and they started chanting slogans against the government and against Mohsen Naqvi. And they literally they kept on and on and on, until he left, because he realized that as long as he was there, they were not going to stop. So that is how the public decided to retaliate. You decided to, you thought that you were being so clever, you thought you were being so sly, that you said, oh, let's just start the cricket matches today, on the 8th of February. Yeah, well, the people just told you what they think of your. People are not, listen, people are not that stupid that they would easily get distracted. Oh, you thought that, oh, it's an international thing. The people of Pakistan, they're going to be very careful, because obviously people from abroad might be coming, and, for the matches and everything. So obviously the Pakistanis, who are so hospitable, they're not going to ruin things. But yeah, you know what? We are hospitable, but we're not going to let our agenda go. We're not your generation. We don't get scared. Okay? We don't get intimidated. We don't give a frack. Haven't you realized that our generation just doesn't give a frack about anything? In fact, what pees us off the most is when your generation tries to tell us what to do, or when your generation's useless pieces of craps that you've given birth to, when they decide to try to dictate to us what we need to do. We have a problem with people like you, okay? We have a problem with anybody who tries to stop us from living our lives the way we should be living our lives. You try to suppress us, and I'll say it again, you better be careful we don't come out and kill you outright, because that is definitely going to happen to you people. Okay, I don't care what you people try to say, and all the hypocrites that are going, no, no, yeah, that's the sheer hypocrisy. The truth is, the more you try to suppress people, the more violent the reaction. Okay, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. You're messing with the wrong people, and you're messing with them in the wrong way. So people are going to come after you. Right now, you should thank your lucky stars that the people are still being very, very peaceful. And that's just because of Imran Khan, okay? The day he's out of the picture, you guys are literally dead. You're not going to be out of the picture. You're going to be out of the world picture, okay? You're going to be 6 feet under. You need to be careful. So all your tricks and all your, useless little ideas, you really you need to shove them back to wherever it is that you brought them out from, because it was not going to work. The protest was staged nevertheless, regardless of your stupid cricket match. Okay, the whole of Pakistan was raging in its protest. The people in the cricket stadium staged the protest. And these, again, these are not just PTI. Okay, the people in the cricket stadium, these are your Pakistani people. Okay, you can't pinpoint and say, oh, these are PTI members here deliberately sitting here to cause a political no. That should tell you, if anything, that the whole Pakistan is PTI and PTI is Pakistan, and you lot, we have no place for you here. So you can do whatever it is that you want to, but you failed miserably yet again. If anything, this was a golden chance for our people to tell the world what we think of you, and to tell this was actually a stage by calling people from other countries, to play their matches and all. You have given Pakistan the perfect opportunity to tell these people what we think of you, what we're doing, and what we want. Thank you so much. You brought the world to us. And now let's look at London, England, where there were protests staged against the mega embassy, the Chinese embassy. Now, I find that funny, because they claim that they have a problem with China due to human rights violations. You know what? You really, really need to get educated, because China has observed human rights much, much, much better than you and the US. You and the US are going around committing genocide in Palestine. You and the US were behind the genocide in Bosnia. You and the US are behind the genocide and the attempted genocide in Kashmir, occupied Kashmir in India. And you actually have the gall to talk about human rights and having a problem with China's embassy because, oh, it's human against human rights. And, are you crazy? China has been actually trying to relocate its embassy for several years, okay? Because currently it is in basically in a different part of London. And what it basically wants is that it wants to go to the historic site, okay? Basically near the Tower of London. It wants to go there, okay? So the move has allegedly sparked fierce opposition from nearby residents and rights groups and critics of China's ruling Communist Party and others. Okay. But again, as I said, you know what's so funny? China has more freedom, and the Chinese people have more freedom than you could ever give even your own immigrants, by the way, in your own country. Um, it has more freedom. It's people are enjoying more freedom than you are. Hello, are you using TikTok? You do realize TikTok is a Chinese app, right? You're using Temu. You don't know that's a Chinese platform, right? You are using Chinese products, you're using Chinese platforms, you're using Chinese social media, and you still have no clue as to how free the people are over there, as compared to how your government has always been brainwashing you and censoring real news from getting through to you. I mean, as I've said in my last podcast, the Western world really needs to get an education. You are behind the chaos, behind the terrorism, behind the genocides, behind the wars all over the world, but you have the gall to to protest against China because you have like seriously, which era are you people still living in that you have no clue about China and you have no clue about other countries, and you have no clue as to how your countries, your governments are highly responsible for all the chaos, all the animosity, all the problems that are going on in the world. How is it that despite all the sanctions that your governments have, literally banged against China and Russia and Iran, these three countries are so way ahead of your own countries. You're like practically, Europe is like a village, okay? You're literally a village, okay? And so is America. If you compare yourselves to the Middle East, to China, to Russia, and to Iran, you are a freaking village in every sense of the word. You really need to get a grip. Okay, you really need to know that even today, as we speak, you are brainwashed, you are uneducated, and you have no clue as to what exactly is going on in the world, what your countries really are all about, what your governments are all about. You have no clue. You are literally isolated from the rest of the world. Get a grip. Africa has a problem with you, Asia has a problem with you. Heck, 1/3 of Europe has a problem with you. What's wrong with you? America right now is very openly, very blatantly stating their agenda now. As I told you, the reason why people have a problem with Trump is that he doesn't beat around the bush, but he very openly narrates the actual agenda of the American establishment. Oh, we want Greenland. Oh, we want to take over the Panama River. Or is it, we want to take over Canada? Oh, soon you'll probably hear him say, Australia is too far, but I'm sure we can somehow try that we can also take over Australia. Let's just be one big happy family and call ourselves the United States of America. How's that? Yeah? I mean, this is the agenda of the UK and the American government. And you're actually trying to say that you have a problem with China because of human rights issues and because it has a communist party that is ruling China? Oh my God. Seriously. No wonder England has gone to the pits. And then you claim that you in America, you're like all, you've gone down, you're, literally that you are in deep crisis, both economic as well as social, and that you're in a sort of a never-ending recession mode, and that you're going downhill. Yeah, as I said in my last podcast, it's because of your own people, because of the fact that you have zero level of education, zero level of order and discipline. You have nothing going for you. Your resources are also minimal. You have to import more than 80 to 90% of your resources from other countries. Mostly you're dependent on, when it comes to Europe, you're mostly dependent on Africa, Russia, and Asia. When it's America, they're mostly dependent on Canada as well as Asia, you know. So why is it again that you have a problem, with those countries that are more developed than you are? Because apparently their ideology worked, you know. And it's not like you when you waged war against communism, your governments, their narrative was because you were waging war against, people who had become godless. But who is really godless here? You people. You haven't you called yourselves secular states where religion has no part or role in whatsoever? The constitution is going to be 100% secular, so that there should be no influence of the church over state. Have you forgotten that? You claim to be atheists, and you claim to be secular, and you claim to be agnostics, and yet you have a problem with communist China. You do realize that the whole problem that your governments had with China and its communism was not the ideology, that it was about the common people per se. Although, yes, they had a problem with that. Their real problem was actually with that. But that's not what they told you. What they told you was their problem with the communists was that the communists were going against God. Well, who's going against God? America, the UK, half of Europe. You're going against God, and you're working with Israel, the most godless state ever to have existed, and you're working with them to commit genocide against those who actually believe in God. So tell me again what your agenda is. You know, your real agenda, which you never told your people against communism, was communism began by the it really began against the extreme capitalism. What you're facing right now in Europe and America is the result of capitalism. It's true that China and Russia and North Korea have gone through extremes to get to where they are now, okay? They went through extremes in the name of communism. They twisted communism too at the end, but that's what you don't get. They twisted communism at the end, but you have a problem with communism itself. When communism itself, the whole meaning of communism is for the common man, by the common man. Okay? It was about equal rights. It wasn't what the Americans were trying to teach you, that it's about, oh, whether you work hard or not, you should all get equal. No. In fact, it was based on the welfare system, where it was said that the laborers who are working hard should get their fair share, as opposed to in a capitalist society where laborers don't get their fair share, but the excess amount, the profits, they are pocketed by the one above them, by the industrialist or by the person who's supervising the laborers, for example, or the owner of the land, for example. So the landlords, the businessmen, the middlemen, they were all making money, whereas the people doing the actual labor wasn't. Okay? That was the original idea behind communism. It had nothing to do with, oh, whether you work hard or not, you both have to get the equal amount. No, in fact, if you put it that way, that is in the same way as it is in your own capitalist countries, where those who are jobless are getting benefits. Who is paying for the benefits? The taxpayer. So isn't it the same idea that those who are working and those who are not are still getting their fair equal share? Because if you get into benefits, you will get the same amount of benefits too, regardless of the fact that you put in years of labor before you ended up in a situation where you had no job or home. So the government will provide you home and will provide you a stipend, right? So tell me again, how is it different? your own governments and your own professors and teachers have been saying, no, you see, this is the problem with communism. But no, what you're describing is exactly what you're doing in your own capitalist countries too. That is what communism was also talking about. They weren't saying that whether you work hard or not, you should get an equal pay. They're saying those who are working hard should get their fair share and everybody should get their equal benefits, which is what you people are enjoying in your own capitalist states. So how are you any different? How are you different? Don't try to say, don't try to BS us with your it's like when you have teachers in economy class when they're trying to talk to you about supply and demand, but they fail to mention that sometimes you actually create a supply in order to create a demand for that supply. Very much like when you do with drug addiction. There is no demand. You first create the supply, then you make the people addicted, and now there's a demand. It's the same thing that I talked about years ago when I talked about media and why I decided not to continue to pursue my career in the media. Is because my basic problem was I'm not going to churn out generic, cheap BS stuff. Okay? I believe that our duty, even as entertainers, even in the entertainment industry, is not just to shove everything in front of everybody and say, oh, this is what works, so everything is going to be made this way. But it is our duty to also educate people into trying new things, new genres. And how can you say I'm wrong when actually the time of the Pakistani TV and film industry, the time when they were at their peak, although people will still argue with me that the Pakistani TV industry is still at its peak because, international raves, they have these raving audience, about the dramas, Pakistani dramas. Listen, I don't care, because those of us who've actually seen the peak time of Pakistani dramas, we saw original scripts, we saw amazing stories, and we saw very, very different plots. Every drama was different from the other. There was no one running theme like now. Now it's as if you've got this mini soap opera shoved up your face 24/7. Seriously, for God's sake. I mean, it's the worst thing that could happen. All the dramas are running along the same theme. Before, the portrayal of female leads in Pakistani dramas were amazing. Amazing. They were powerful female leads. They were amazing. They were funny. They were hilarious. It's as if a novel came out into life. And now there's just one running theme for female leads and male leads. It's obnoxious. And I was like, I am not going to be part of this shit. Either I should be allowed to create original. Okay, and when I did create original stuff, everybody wanted to steal that stuff from me. Listen, you want that stuff? You want to put your name on it? Buy it from me. Don't tell me that I should give my creation to you for free and you should put your name on it too. No. You want your name on it? You damn well buy it from me. And that's when I just blocked the Pakistani media totally. And I'm like, I'm not working with you people ever or at all. Point being here, you create supply and then you create demand. So don't try this supply demand bullshit that the professors of economy try to always talk about supply and demand, and then, when you are in a banking or accounts or economy, you also try to talk about, credit and debit, Well, guess what? You have deliberately created a society that is based on credit. Okay? So you're not dealing in actual money, and you've basically forbidden your people. This is a way to forbid your people too, by your actions when you force them towards plastic, and you've literally forbidden them, to deal in actual hard cash. That is another reason for your economic crisis. The reason why whenever the Western world falls into recession, they don't really get back on their feet, is because you don't deal in actual money. All of you are in constant debt. Okay? You have put every single person in your society in debt. The reason why countries like ours don't fall easily in recession is we still deal with hard cash, literally, even our banks. There is a lot of plastic used, yes, there is a lot of plastic, but we still deal in hard cash equally. So try to, make some sense before you try to talk like experts, because seriously, I think that the dumbest people are those who claim to be experts or specialists in fields, because while they're so busy being specialists, they forget the common sense. It's like an IT, you know, uh, expert coming in and trying to figure out why your computer isn't turning on, and he doesn't notice that it hasn't even been plugged in. Step number one, use your common sense. Have you plugged the machine in? Well, I hope you're getting my point here. This is me signing out. Khuda Hafiz.